All right, what's up, guys? This is Marc Augustine here, and today is the 28th. This is the 28th of December. So we're right after Christmas. We had a good Christmas season. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year, and all that good stuff. I know we didn't post in a while. So in this video, Sammy and I are gonna go through the process of making $100,000 a year with eBay dropshipping, the roadmap to making $100,000 a year with eBay dropshipping. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. Before we get into the video, you should check out the Dropship Mastery class. What the Dropship Mastery class is a full eBay dropshipping course teaching you everything you need to know about eBay dropshipping. Sam, you'd want to scroll down a bit.
Yeah.
The Dropship Mastery class comes with a full month of the Ecom Sniper software. And if you use the coupon code FIRST100, you get 50% off. So you pay $97. For the $97, you get the Dropship Masterclass and a full month of the Ecom Sniper software that uses artificial intelligence to do most of the work with the eBay dropshipping process. So check out the link in the description, and you could use that to use an hour to a day of your time to make a couple $1,000s a month profit dropshipping on eBay. So subscribe. Let's get into the video. So Sammy, go ahead.
Yeah, like I think let's give like an update on the account, and then so everybody can see. So
you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Sammy. I've been dropshipping on eBay for the last 7 years at this point. I'm just happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, hi, my name is Marc Augustine. If you're new to the channel, like, subscribe. We do updates on making money online, and I've been dropshipping eBay for over 10 years and happy to be here. So go ahead, Sammy.
Yeah, so right now we can see that this account in the last 31 days did 10,000 in revenue. 90 days we did 22,000 in revenue. And you can kind of see like this is how our sales for the Christmas season looked. Do mind you, this account, like for everybody that watched the previous videos, like this is what you can expect. We didn't post items in like over a month and a half at this point. Like a month and a half. Yeah. And then you can see that our sales did, like we still did around 10,000 in sales with just pure maintenance, right? And, we'll talk about like what we need to do with this account in maybe like tomorrow in a different video or something. But we can see that the total profit of this account so far has done almost $7,000 in profit. This is just profit in about nearing the end of 3 months. 3 months, yeah?
Right.
So yeah, we did, you can see it over here, about $7,000 over here. And then this one account, a 3-month journey, right? With posting like those 10,400 in last, like we actually did it in like 2 months. And then now this is we're just maintaining the account. And there's things that need to be done for this account. But, I think we'll talk about it tomorrow. That's cool with you?
Right, yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. So just for tomorrow's video, we'll talk about that. So in this video, like, we were talking about it off camera. And, Marc, you mentioned that, the process to making $100,000 in a year isn't clear.
Right.
So and I do agree with you.
Explain. eBay dropshipping previously, we not easily, but it was relatively straightforward to make $5,000 to $10,000 a month with one account, right? Things have changed, strategies have changed. So if you guys follow us, we do a lot, you put in a lot less time and you could generate about $2,000 a month profit. My goal is, or my challenge to Sammy is that we have to create a roadmap where each person can make $10,000 a month or $100,000 a year in profit dropshipping on eBay. So that's what we're going to talk about here.
Right, absolutely. So with that being said, right, the focus of this video and like what I'm gonna be trying to do my absolute best is to give you the solution to making $100,000 a month. Sorry, a year.
Right.
And
the actionable solution.
The actionable solution, yeah.
Right.
Okay. So we're gonna be using this account as our control account, and we're gonna be like just talking about how to go ahead and make 100K. And then this is like the account that we're going to kind of base all of our understanding on. So really the first thing that we have to do, right, to be able to make $100,000 a year, right, is, let's pull up our calculator for a second. So let's say to make $100,000 a year, right? Every month you need to make $8,333, right?
Right.
That's the number. So to make this number happen, like the projection that you want to have is you want to have ideally you want to make $2,000 a month per account. This is the number that you should be striving for.
Okay. Yeah.
So that means you need around 4 accounts. Four, I like to go with 5, so you err on the side of caution,
Right.
right? So you would need 5 accounts to go ahead and make $100,000 a month with our system, right? So let's just talk about like like the numbers on the accounts really quickly, and then I think Zoom. You mind pausing the video for 1 second? I'm just gonna get like a whiteboard out. Okay. So before we begin, so if anybody has any questions or anything, like feel free to jump in and ask your questions, because by the end of this presentation, like everybody should have absolute clarity and execution plan. So nothing should be like do not leave anything for later. You know what I mean? There's no time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so any questions or anything you have, like make sure you ask them to right now in this call. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is like the assumption, and like then we're going to go from there. So the assumption is if you have one eBay account, right, and you list 10,000 items on it, you should be able to generate on average 2K in $2,000 a month in profit. So this is like the numbers that we have seen. And like maybe some accounts will do a little more, some will do a little less. But whatever the case is, like you'll generate $2,000 a month in profit. And this number becomes more and more true the more feedback you get, the longer you operate, and the longer the accounts age as well. So this is like the assumption that we base everything off of. So to do $100,000 in a year, right, you would need actually 4 accounts, 4.1 accounts. But what we like to do is we like to err on the side of caution, and we would like to have 5 eBay accounts making $2,000 a month, right? And if all goes well, you should see anywhere from $100 to $120,000 in profit a year. So the goal for this call is going to be, how do I make 5 eBay accounts? What do I need? And how do I execute? And then we're going to talk about that. So some of the common problems that we have. So the requirements to have 5 eBay accounts, right? The very first thing that you're going to need, right, is you're going to need 2 to 3 Wyoming corporations. And in some rare cases, you might need 5. And I'll explain why. The reason why you can make 2 to 3 Wyoming corporations and make 5 eBay accounts. Sometimes you can even make 1 Wyoming corporation, make 5 accounts. The challenge is whenever you're making an eBay account, right? Let's say, right, you might get a $2 billion limit. And then what's going to happen is if you reuse that Wyoming corporation, the next thing you're going to have is a $2 million limit. And then you're going to get a $1 million limit. And then you're going to get 750,000 and then 500,000. And then what's going to end up happening is you're going to get $5,000. So this is the pattern, yeah? So you can reuse the corporation as many times as you want, but it depends on what your initial limit is when you first make that account with that corporation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So that means that if you have one Wyoming corporation, right, you can make like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 accounts, assuming that the first account gets a $2 billion limit. But if you get a 2 million, then you can only make 4 accounts now, because the next account adjacent after, right, is no matter if you change the IP address, you change the phone number, the address, it doesn't matter, right? The way eBay works is they look at the account that is made, and then they put your all similar information inside of a group, right? And if any account shares any of the group information, right? Let's say, for example, like I made an account with Rory's address and I got a $1 million limit. Now Rory using that same address would only get a 750,000 on the same one, even though everything else is different. So we're going to talk more about that in detail. But the general concept is you can use one Wyoming corporation can have up to 5 accounts. However, if you don't get the $2 billion limit, and then if you get the 500,000 limit, then you need 5 accounts, or like maybe the next corporation is gonna get a higher limit or whatever. So I hope that makes sense. Like this is a very crucial understanding on. So we're basically gonna use a corporation to make as many accounts as possible. Once we get a 500,000 limit, we stop at that point. All right. So the next thing that we need is again 2 to 3 identities, but this is a variable. This is variable. Like if you wanna err on the side of caution, right? You would like to go ahead and have like ideally 5 identities for 5 corporations, and then that way you're fully safe. But like these resources are kind of like scarce, right? You might have yours, you might have your wife's, and etc. So just under the same concept as a Wyoming corporation, whenever you make the first corporation, right, you want to use the same information, and then you want to copy and paste it until you get the 500,000 limit. And then once you use your identity for the first corporation, you want to use your wife's, you want to use your friends, your father's, and just repeat this process. So to make 5 accounts, you only need 2 identities really, because usually you're gonna go ahead and make one corporation, you'll get like a $1 million limit, and then you'll get 750,000, and then you'll get 500,000, and then you do the same with the second identity, and you put it on the Wyoming corporation. And the reason why we make Wyoming corporations and not Florida or somewhere else is just for caution, really, because the director information and the owner of the Wyoming corporation this year, there's rumors that next year what's going to end up happening is that the government is forcing the owners of the Wyoming corporation to disclose the identities to the public. But at this moment in time, this capability still exists, so we
Yeah,
can
but
use
how would that make a difference on eBay if you're given the information?
because eBay uses, a third party to go ahead and verify the owners of the corporation, right? So they're using a third party company called Adyen, and it's a Dutch company, and Adyen specifically focuses. Like I've been reading the docs recently for the last 3-4 days, yeah, and they have automation that goes and checks the registries to verify the corporate name, right? Your EIN, the address, etc. Does that make sense, Mark?
Right, right.
But for a Wyoming corporation, it's the owners are not going to be publicly listed. And you know what? We have reports already that perhaps it doesn't matter because we know another user that made a corporation in Florida, right? And then they had a mismatch with the owners and directors inside of like when they submitted to eBay, and they didn't care. But for our use case, we want to go ahead and just make sure we're as safe as possible. We avoid any pitfalls if possible. Yeah.
No, but you misunderstood. What I'm saying is, if you have to give eBay the information of the owners, what is the advantage of hiding the information on the corporate level? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, because when you submit your articles of incorporation to eBay, right, it's not gonna show the directors there.
Right, but they ask you who was the owner of the account.
Right, and if you have like if you put a different like identity, they have no way to confirm.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like let me
No,
know.
but
Yeah, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, let me know if that makes sense, because this is a pretty important topic.
No, but
Why
I'm
we're,
saying eBay requires you to submit like banking information, ID. They're different. They verify the address different ways. So I'm saying that if your corporation is in the state that you're in, that should be fine. I still don't understand the benefit of using a Wyoming corporation. Usually you use a Wyoming corporation when you want to hide the identity of the owners. What is the benefit of using Wyoming?
got it. No, I understand your question now. It's perfect. So the reason why we're using the Wyoming corporation is because the first account that you make, the first 3 are gonna be under your name, but the second 3 are gonna be under someone else's name, but you're owning the corporation and you don't want eBay to know that. Let me know if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, are we clear on that aspect? Like, why the first? Let's say you make the first corporation in Florida. Like, let's say you live in Florida, you're operating under your own name. But if you want diversity after the second corporation, you make it in Wyoming, and then you say that the primary
But what
account.
I'm saying is, if you're using other identities for the second corporation, you use the other identity. So what is the?
Yeah, but then that if you're opening up a Wyoming corporation under your wife's name or something, then your wife is gonna be liable for the taxes. Do you get? So I'm saying that you open up the Wyoming corporation so that way you're in full control and you have full authority over the corporation.
Okay, okay, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
have a quick question. Would
Yeah.
registered agents accomplish the same thing, basically? Because if you're, I don't know if registered agents pop up on the articles of organization, but wouldn't that be
No.
another way to hide the information from the public?
Um. What we're trying to do as like what
No,
we're
the
trying to-
registered agent is someone in the state that has to accept mail and so on for the corporation. So I don't think, and that's in every state. So I don't think that would be a solution.
Nevada, could you hold on a second? I think the screen is being controlled now. So Tyler, can you say that like tell me more about the registered agents? Like what is your question one more time?
Yeah, because like if you go and look at if you go to the public LLC, the state of the Department of State website for a state, you
Right.
look up an LLC name, you'll only see whoever like the registered agent is. You won't actually see who owns the LLC. I mean, a lot of times people are their own registered agent, but
Got it.
if
Yeah.
you could
No,
you
like
could get like other things through registered agent as well.
no. I was actually reading Adyen recently, and they're not looking at the registered agent um for the corporation. What they're verifying, right, is they're using the public registry just to verify the name, potentially the owners, if it shows the owners, um, the address, and yeah, the EIN, the business information. Yeah. So that is what they're potentially. That
What's
is
the
what
name of the company?
Adyen, Adyen, ADYEN. So that is the third party, um, payment manager that eBay uses on their platform. So
Oh, Aiden. Yeah,
it's
that's
actually
a
Adyen, like I was saying Aiden for a while as well, but it was like
yeah.
Yeah. So that's Adyen, yeah. So and Mark, does that answer the question about the why we're using the Wyoming corpse?
You're saying to separate it for tax purposes.
Well, also just for eBay as well, right? Because if like I will show you at another time, right? What eBay actually, sorry, Adyen actually like in their API, right? It says clearly that they try to automatically verify the owners of the corporation as well, right? So what we would like to do if we're using like a mismatched primary account holder and we're stating on eBay that that person is like the 100% owner of the company, then what we would want to do is, make sure that Adyen doesn't know, like it has no way to verify that. And they don't ask for owner, like I've never seen eBay ever ask for an ownership document either.
Right. They don't ask for the articles of incorporation.
No, they do, but they might they. I have never seen like when they try to verify the business, they ask for the articles of the incorporation, but I have never seen them try to verify owners. So they might. So we're just trying to err on the side of caution. That's all I'm saying. If they ever do, like they won't be able to go ahead and verify that this identity doesn't belong to this corporation.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because this is actually a foundational question, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, because in the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to diversify our risk as much as possible, and by doing that is we want to have multiple accounts. But if you have all of the accounts under your name, or you're the primary account holder for each of the corporations, what's going to end up happening is they're going to be able to link you all together. Do you get what I mean?
Right.
So you want to put one corporation and have like one identity, associated with that, and have another corporation and make another identity associated to that. Because whenever you make an eBay account, right? This is very clearly said on Adyen's website. They said that they make one legal entity for the corporation, and then they make another legal entity for the individual, and then they associate the legal entity for the individual with the legal entity of the corporation. So that means that the person is linked to the corporation, but the corporation is the main legal entity. So that means that if eBay ever changes their policy and they want to go for a mass like a ban sweep or something, because that individual's like is associated with that corporation, they can take down all of your corporations, all of your accounts.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? That's the reason why we want multiple identities, because we know guys that made 13 accounts with we know guys who made 13 accounts with their own identity, but we want to we want to kind of just separate that all out in case there's like a mass ban sweep or something. Let me know if that answered the question in its entirely, yeah?
I'm sorry, this is Nevada. That is kind of confusing because
Uh-huh.
when you set up a business account, so you're saying when we set up the business account, we use someone else's name?
So when you're creating the eBay account, right? What ends up
Mhm.
happening is like you're able to choose, is your business a individual or is it a business? So
Yes.
when you click it's a business, you just fill in the information of the business, right? You put in your corporation name, your corporation address, your EIN, right? And then you move on to the next page. The next
Right.
page asks you who is the primary account holder, right? And then you put in your name, and then it asks you for your SSN number, and then you put in your SSN number, right? So, and then it asks you, does this person own 25% or more of the business? And then
Mhm.
you check yes. And on the next page, it asks you to list all of the owners of the company, right? So
Right.
this is eBay's way of verifying the corporation, and they have automation in place to verify all of these details, right?
Mhm.
So, but with a Wyoming corporation, because the owners are not, publicly available in a registry or any database, you're able to put in any, account holder name that you want on eBay, right?
Okay, so that explains it because I was wondering that normally that information is there. So that's the thing.
Yeah,
Wyoming is different from the other ones because I was wondering why are we opening in Wyoming and not the other states? Because I have 5 LLCs here in Illinois and I also have 2 in Indiana. So when you kept saying Wyoming, I was like, why are we using that? And that's because they don't identify the owner of the companies
exactly,
registered.
exactly,
Okay, got it.
exactly.
Understand.
Exactly. So they don't have a way to auto verify the owners. So they're not gonna um give you an error code that hey, so and so is not an owner of this company. So you're able to go
Okay.
ahead and from what we have seen, the only time they don't verify the owners either way, but this is like a precautionary step just in case their automation like sees a mismatch. And their
Gotcha.
automation does say they'd look for that. Um, but with a Wyoming corporation, we know that it passes anyways. So we're good to go for that, yeah?
Okay. Understand.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, with the Wyoming corporations, you want to have 2 to 3, or like maybe for if you're not using your identity, that's when you want to have like a Wyoming corporation. That's like the main thing to understand here. So now that you have your like, I hope is everybody clear on this concept before I move on to the next thing? Because the next stuff do get more are a bit complicated as well to some degree. Check everything is understandable here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
perfect. All right. So the next thing that we're gonna need is we're gonna need 5 IP addresses, and we're gonna talk about this in a second. Right? We're gonna need 5 phone numbers to make the 5 eBay accounts. We need 2 to 3 Wyoming corporations, 2 to 3 identities, right? And these identities, important, they shouldn't have been used on eBay before, right? This is very important, right? Because eBay is going to associate you and it with the other accounts. So if you have an account already, like you should not use that identity again. So you want to have 5 IP addresses, 5 phone numbers, 5 devices, laptops, right? Laptops, computers, laptops are the best. And then you want to have 10,000 AI listings on each account. And then to go ahead and order those items whenever you get the sales, you should have 5 Amazon accounts at a minimum. This is a minimum. This is a minimal number, yeah? So how do we get these 2 to 3 identities? This is the first question. So
Wait, one quick question.
yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
So, with the Amazon, so the 5 phone numbers, those are for eBay, right?
Yes, yes. The 5 phone numbers are
And would you use the same phone numbers for the Amazon accounts?
absolutely, absolutely. So
Okay.
you're gonna each of those computers that you have should have its own Amazon account, and you're gonna use those phone numbers there. But really, with Amazon accounts, like you can have one number and make like 100 accounts. All you do is you just after you make the go ahead.
Sorry. Well, that's what I thought. But when I made my 3rd Amazon account, they told me that my phone number was used too many times for prior accounts, and I had to use a different phone number.
Right, and you gotta go to the account and delete the phone number from the previous account, and then you're able to reuse that number. So
I see. Okay.
what it really means is how many times you can only have one phone number active on an account at one time.
Okay.
So this is what it means, and this is for buyer accounts. For seller accounts, you should never reuse the number. But Amazon is very like lenient towards buyer accounts.
Okay.
Yeah. So next thing is we're gonna talk about to get the 2 to 3 identities. You want to go ahead and either contact your friends, your family, if you have a wife, if you have parents, just get their what you need from them is you need their social security number, right, or a driver license and a passport. And the reason and this is gonna be entered into eBay. So this is how you acquire your 2 to 3 identities. If you have more creative ways, like just I don't know, you can figure it out. Maybe make some new friends or make some find more family somehow. So we're gonna talk about how to this part is gonna be an important one. How to get the 5 IP addresses. So regarding the IP addresses, right? One of the signals that eBay that Adyen uses to it's called trigger events, right? One of the trigger events that Adyen uses is when you change an IP address on the account, right? It sends like a signal to eBay that hey, something's weird is going on, because the typical shopper or the typical seller doesn't change their IP address. So whenever you associate an IP address on an account, it should be a forever IP address, right? And this is I've verified this. It is literally inside of their documentation. Adyen says that one of the triggers are when you change the IP, right? And then sometimes they do another verification on the account, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So what you want to do is have static IPs, or like residential IPs nowadays usually never change the IP. Like if you're changing if it changes, it's not that big of a deal. But for our use case, because we want to avoid as many triggers as possible, and by doing that, we want to get static IPs. And what a static IP is basically is everybody familiar with what an IP address is? So just to recap really quickly, an IP address is an identifier that your internet company assigns to you, so that way they can track you, so they know who you are. That's really what it is used for.
Look, no, it's a Zoom call. I'm just listening.
When I get done, after you're done with that, can you take my car?
Mute him. Okay, so so that is what an IP address is. So how do we get 5 IP addresses? So I'm gonna go ahead and open up. So there's actually I'm not gonna open it up. I'm just gonna explain it briefly. So Comcast, right, has an option for you to get a modem, right, that is gonna give 5 static IPs with it. So I provided the link over here, and at the end of the call, I'm gonna share like a Google Docs with this link as well. And to get the static IPs, all you need to do is go ahead and call Comcast and say, hey, I need 5 static IPs. And then they're gonna say, okay, here's it's gonna be like $140, or 13 IPs are gonna be like $140. They're gonna give you a 1-year contract, and then you're gonna get a modem, and that it's just a small modem. It's gonna be connected with a cable, right? You connect. They're gonna come install it, and then it's gonna be connected with a modem with a cable, and then that modem is gonna have 5 IP addresses inside of it. So you're gonna be able to connect 5 different computers with that modem, and each computer is gonna be able to get its own static IP address. So let me know if that's clear.
If I live in like an apartment or something, would I be able to do this still?
Yes. So just tell you just tell Comcast that I don't know I don't know if Comcast specifically needs a commercial address, but you can just call them up and just tell them, hey, you know what, it is a commercial address, and then they should be able to go ahead and move forward with that. Because in the
I
end
mean,
of
are
the
they
day,
gonna like drill into the wall or do anything that's
no,
gonna get
no,
me
no,
my
no, no, no. It's literally like it's the same as the modem you have right now. The only difference is like they went ahead and activated it on their side as a commercial modem, and it's connected with the same wires your modem currently has. So even if you had a commercial address, you could have just took that modem and connected it at home, and it would still have access to those IP addresses that are built in. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. So like because like right now I have like a router or whatever. I just plug it into my wall, so they wouldn't have to go into the wall to change anything. It would just kind of because like I don't pay for the internet or anything in my apartment. It's provided by the apartment complex, so that's
Got
why I
it.
was asking.
Got it. So you're gonna need a cable modem outlet for Comcast. So basically, you know those cables, right? That are usually with apartments or houses or businesses, like those, like there's like a copper wire that goes in the middle of it and it connects to your modem. Like, are you familiar with that?
With mine, I just have like an Ethernet port into the. Well, I have like a cord that I like plug into the wall and then it plugs into my router and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, like a core, like it's like circular. It's like a cable, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So let me just go ahead and like pull up an image. It's like it's a good question. Let me pull up an image, so then you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Usually all like buildings and houses usually have something like this. Um
It's a coax cable.
a
They
coax
have
cable.
they have what they call pot splitters for buildings, and they would just run an extra coax cable to some port, probably near your door or near a window. They wouldn't have to drill anything. It's usually already in the building. For especially if it's like a multiplex, they will already have done this infrastructure. So all
Right.
the different ISPs can just run a coax cable from some junction in the building to your apartment. So it won't be a problem.
Right, exactly. And you know what? Like it's the ISP's like it's not even a question. I think every like apartment or house they have a coax cable. So if you guys see the image over here, you can see that there's this cable outlet over here that this is your modem, and as Chaik said, it's a coax cable that's going to be connected from the house, apartment, or wherever they have like the outlet, and it's going to be connected to your modem, and that is how your modem access the internet. Does that make sense?
Got it, got it. So any ISP, like even if it's a different ISP than the one that my apartment complex gives, they could just put their own, like use their own cable and modem and set it up.
They're going to use their, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So just like if Comcast doesn't work, like the idea is the same. You just want to go ahead and call whatever like ISP that's supported in your in your region or your address or whatever, and then find one that works. Because if you have fiber, you want to call internet companies that are gonna work with the fiber outlet in your apartment. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So when you call Comcast and you're asking them for the 5 the 5 static IPs, they're gonna give you a modem, just this normal modem right over here. And they're usually gonna come and install it for you, but the installation is very simple. It's just a power plug and it's just a coax cable that's connected to the modem, and you connect the coax cable to the outlet, but it should already be there in your apartment complex. But they'll usually like work on the whole setup themselves. Yeah. All right. But so I hope that is everybody clear on how to get like the 5 static IPs? Check, are we clear on this?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So once you get this 5 static IPs, the next thing that we want to get is you need, a phone number associated to each eBay account. And the absolute easiest way that we have seen is to go ahead and get a prepaid like eSIM. And what an eSIM is basically, you right on your phone, you're able to go ahead and activate another number without getting a SIM card, without getting anything like that. I have lost a bunch of SIMs in my life, and I'm not trying to lose it again. So I ask everybody to explore eSIMs. Just go to you can get any phone number, but it has to be like for each account, it has to be a phone number from a popular provider. Right? It cannot be like a voice over IP, it cannot be anything like that. It needs to be completely legitimate. So, and I would say get a prepaid. The reason why for prepaid is because um, you can always you can always change the name on a prepaid account holder, right? You can put whatever name you want. They don't verify. So that means your caller ID, you can change it as you will. So you want to be able to just match it with the eBay account. That's not as important. Just the main thing, this is the reason why we get the eSIMs and a prepaid mobile is just for convenience. I think everybody's good for this, yeah. I put a link over here for T-Mobile for $10 a month. You want to retain this phone number indefinitely.
I have one question
Uh-huh.
about the IPs. I heard you briefly discussing something before, but I want to know if I was certain about what I heard. Have you tried or tested like the 5G home internet modems? Have you tried using those?
Another user did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they got the 750K limits. I would suggest against that because it is still using a mobile IP, right? And if you want a higher chance of getting like a limit of like 2 million or 1 million, right? Then you should go ahead and make an account with a reputable ISP that has like a wire, because those are like they're able to see that. You know what I mean? So mobile data is like Rory has made an account recently with his mobile IP, right? And he got a 500,000 limit. We want to avoid those situations, right? So you want to make an account with an ISP that is very like the most popular in your country. That is really like the rule of thumb. So look for like I think Comcast is good is a great one. We have people that are using it and getting 1 million limits, 750,000. So it has already been like confirmed to work for the higher limits. So just use that. If Comcast doesn't work in your apartment complex, honestly, just find any ISP that's willing to go ahead and set up like a modem inside your home, a residential modem inside your home. Look for a 1-year contract. I think that'll be good. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're done with the 5 phone numbers. Like honestly, you can use SIM cards or anything, like you can go inside in person and get them. eSIMs is what I like because it just keeps everything so simple, right? So that's how I'm moving forward with it. Now we're gonna talk about the 5 devices that you need, and what I recommend. You can use any device, right? But for our use case, because we're running the software in the end of the day on side the computer should have some power to go ahead and you know be able to run the software that's required to list those 10,000 and for management of the account. So what we recommend at a minimum is you should have 5 eBay accounts with 5 laptops, and the laptop should have at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the processor should be an i5 with an 8th generation or above. So i5 8th gen and above. Does so so the way you would understand this is like the RAM. Let me make it one more time clear. 8 GB plus, and then the processor i5 8th gen plus. So you can get like an i7 with an 8th gen, Just look for any laptop that has a processor that is an i5, Intel Core i5, 8th generation and above. Stay away from MacBooks or anything like that. Let's go for like Windows computers, yeah. So that is like the
Question.
requirement. Yeah,
Quick question.
go ahead.
So, is it that the software doesn't work on OS X or?
No, it works on everything. It's just, like there is a matter of like comfort when you're working, right? You don't want to have like issues like listing items or like controlling the computer, because we're gonna be running a tracker and a lister on each of the accounts, right? So they do require some processing power to like be able to work, smoothly. We have guys who you have used like Chromebooks, and they when they're listing items on the account, they can only use 1 or 2 threads because the computer is not powerful enough to do multi-threads. Do you get what I
So
mean?
it's more of a performance issue that you're concerned about.
Yeah, exactly. As long as
Okay.
as like any laptop works, but since we're gonna be using these like devices indefinitely, it's better you just get at least minimum 8 GB of RAM and a processor i5 8th generation plus. And we've seen this in the markets for like $200, $240.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that expensive, but
I just asked because I have like a bunch of machines and some of them are Macs, and so
okay.
I was just
Yeah, the Macs are fine. You can use the Macs. Just preferably like we don't want to change the device once we start operating the account, at least for 3 months.
sure.
You know what I mean? So
Okay.
with that being said, like from the get-go, let's have our like the entire operation and everything like strong and clean from the beginning so we can comfortably scale the accounts. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how do we list the 10,000 items? This part I think everybody's clear with. All we do is 1 to 200 items a day for 2 to 3 months, and then we should get to the 10,000 items. And then the account goes on maintenance mode. We run the tracker, and then the relister, and then focus on scaling. That is really the next steps for that. So now we're going to talk about the last portion of this meeting. And this is gonna be the executionable game plan. Like, what do you have to do first? What do you do second? And then we're gonna. This is what I recommend, right? The orders can change if you want, but ideally, this is like this is the way that I prefer. So, the first thing is you want to make sure you have your identities ready, the passport and the SSN numbers. You write them down. You have a picture of the passport or a driver license, a nice straight one. Have it ready, right? Take a picture, like have the SSN number written down somewhere. The reason why you want to prepare this stuff beforehand is because let's say later on you need one of your friends and family's passports or driver license. You don't have to ask them for the information again. They might get uncomfortable at that time. Take a picture of them right from the beginning. And then that's the one. If eBay asks you that, hey, we need your driver license or passport, you're able to go ahead and send it right away. So have their consent that you're going to be doing this from the beginning, but just have like a picture of their passport or their driver license ready to go. That's the first thing you want to do. Have it for all 2, 3. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to create the Wyoming corporation, right? If you don't have the person's passport SSN number, like the Wyoming corporation is not needed for you at this step, right? So now you want to create the Wyoming corporation and the registered address for the Wyoming corporation. Like we know typically like from eBay we have used mismatch addresses, but for absolute like clarity and like what you want to do is you want to go ahead and create the Wyoming corporation with an address that hasn't been used before. So whether it be like a PO box or something, like try to avoid PO boxes, but try to register it with an address that hasn't been used on eBay before. So
sorry. When you say not use for account creation or not use for business registration?
Both would be ideal.
So for new accounts, you mean? So if you're creating a new account, it shouldn't have the address of like your own personal account that you may have created before.
Yes, exactly. You don't want to, because one of the way that eBay very clearly says that they have attributes and if somebody uses an attribute, right? One attribute is called like an address, right? And then what's gonna happen is everybody who used that address before is gonna be visible to eBay. So that means that you want to stay away from any linkage with anybody that has been on eBay ever. To get what I mean? So this is the way to go about creating the Wyoming corporation or any corporation. You just want to make sure that it is not, if you know like usually people are not selling on eBay to begin with, so you're not gonna have too much of a problem, right? You want to so yeah, you can use the address of another business that has been operating there as well, but that business you should have confirmed somehow that they have never used it on eBay. Does that make sense? So that is like the primary focus, just so that we don't link ourselves with any other person that has been sold on eBay before. We want to come in eBay's eyes as a fresh individual and not any type of any suspicion that we are linked with another person or a business.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So now, so regarding the once you make the Wyoming corporation, right, what you're gonna need is eBay is gonna ask you for a bank account for the corporation. So that you want to go ahead and open up a bank account for your corporation. Go to Wells Fargo, Chase, go wherever they allow you to get a bank account. That's not that big of a issue. But because we are going to be reusing the account multiple times to make multiple accounts, we need multiple bank accounts. So if you go ahead and the first account gets a 1 million limit, that means you can probably make 2 more accounts after. So those next 2 accounts need their own account. So when I say bank account, you can go ahead and have multiple checking accounts under the same bank. You can do that. It is up to you. What I like to do is just multiple bank accounts to keep, like the diversity there. Being diverse in your operations is always a good thing. But if you don't have that option, just open multiple checking accounts within that bank. And if they ask you that, why do you need multiple checking accounts? You just tell them, hey, like I have eBay allows us to have multiple accounts, and each account needs its own checking account. And then they should go ahead and open it up for you. Because everything we're doing is legitimate anyways. All right. So the next thing is once you get 2 bank accounts or 2 checking accounts more specifically for each Wyoming corporation, and really this 2 accounts is variable. If you get a $2 million limit, you want to make another 2 or 3. So you might need 3 accounts, 3 bank accounts or checking accounts. So it just depends on what your limit is when you first make the account. So the next thing you want to go ahead and do is you want to go ahead and purchase your 5 laptops with what we discussed before, minimum 8 gigabytes of RAM and i5 and above. And that is like preferable, not required. So the next thing you want to do after that is like purchase your 5 eSIMs. What you can do is you don't have to purchase them all up front. You can just purchase them as you are making the accounts. So this is not that big of a deal. You don't have to follow the order here strictly. After that, you want to go ahead and purchase the static IPs from Comcast, right? Buy the static IP, buy the modem, and then once you buy the modem, you want to go ahead and connect each laptop with a static IP. Just set up your playground, right? Have each computer ready to go so that way we can start making the eBay accounts. And the way you go ahead and configure the static IPs with the modem, the modem that they're gonna give you is already gonna come like out of box ready to go, right? All you have to do is simply connect the modem directly with your laptops, and then they're gonna give you your static IP that you're gonna configure with your network on each device, and then it's gonna be ready to go. So, just look for like a hardwire connection with a Cat5, Cat6 cable. So let me just go ahead and just show you what I mean by that. So right over here is like the modem. I think this is actually the computer, but whatever. Imagine this is the modem, and you're just gonna connect this Cat5 cable directly to the modem, and then you're gonna connect the other side to the laptop. And then you're gonna go ahead and configure the static IP. on the laptop. And we're gonna have like another video. Like I'll send you guys another video later on how to configure the IP. It's not relevant in this situation in the context of this video, but this is how you do it, and it's pretty straightforward as well. You don't really need much tech skills, right? It's just plug and play and then enter a couple numbers and you're ready to go. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna connect each laptop with the static IPs, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. Is we're gonna go ahead and start creating the eBay accounts with the identities. So we're gonna talk about creating the accounts, the eBay accounts over here, and then the ninth step is you're gonna create the 5 Amazon accounts on each computer. I'm not gonna go too much in detail on this one right now, because this one is pretty straightforward. We might make another video entirely on this, but we already have like a very thorough video on how to create the Amazon accounts. But your setup is gonna be ready to create 5 more Amazon accounts that are gonna be unlinked. All right. So the guidelines for setting up the eBay accounts, right? So each account. So let me go ahead and just number these just so that's easy to see. So the guidelines for creating the eBay accounts, each account can never share any details with each other unless you are making multiple accounts with the same corporation. So understand it like a group of accounts. So when you're using the first Wyoming corporation, right, you want to go ahead and make 3 accounts, but those 3 accounts should be separate. All the information on there has to be separate from the other 3 that you make with the other Wyoming corporation. So because the goal of this, this presentation is to make 5 eBay accounts, right? So we're going to go under the assumption that the first Wyoming corporation allowed you to make 3 eBay accounts, right? Those details cannot be the same as the second 3 with the other Wyoming corporation. So that is very important. The IP address, phone, and everything should be different. This does drive the question like, okay, if we're using the same IP address and the same Wyoming corporation 3 times, aren't they going to be linked anyway? So why can't we use the same IP, phone number, and bank account? The answer is, it's very true. But the thing is, since we are working with eBay, right? eBay gives you the limits based off of, like, they don't do a full investigation on the account, like from the very beginning, to give you the limits. What they do is they go ahead and they look at things like your IP address, your phone number, your address, has it been used before, and dependent on this information, they give you the higher limit. So if you make all of this, if you share too many attributes when you're making the accounts, they might not get the high limits each time. So that's why you want to go ahead and, like, as possible, keep everything as much as different as possible. And also another benefit of this is we have seen in the past where one Wyoming corporation, right, got suspended. Like one account got suspended, but because the IP address and the phone number and everything else was different, that other account didn't get suspended. So it does create some protection from linking those accounts together, even though they're the same corporation, like multiple accounts of the same corporation. So it's like a way of protecting yourself. But the main thing here is between the 2 corporations, those 2 must be different. Everything should be different from the account holder, the address, the phone number, and the IP. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do for the guidelines when creating the eBay account, right? You want to make sure that whenever you're creating the account, when you first click register on eBay, right, it doesn't give you a CAPTCHA. A CAPTCHA, let me go ahead and pull it up for you so that way everybody is clear what a CAPTCHA looks like, is this thing right over here. I'm not a robot. So if you get something like this while you're creating the account, close the browser and download Firefox, download Mozilla, download Opera, I say Mozilla is a good one. If Chrome gives you a CAPTCHA, download Mozilla and then go ahead and create the account with Mozilla, and then if it gives you another CAPTCHA, move on to another one. Just keep getting a different browser until you find one that doesn't give you a CAPTCHA. So some of the possible browsers are Mozilla, Chrome, and Microsoft Edge. So sometimes, like you might have a clean setup, but you might get a CAPTCHA. A CAPTCHA is a sign that something is wrong. Like they only give you a CAPTCHA because for some reason, like your you look a little bit suspicious. So we want to go ahead and avoid getting captures during the account creation. So that's the next thing. No captures are allowed during the account creation process. If you get so the next guideline is if you get the 500,000 limit, then you cannot make any new accounts. You must move on to the next corporation and the next identity, right? If you get a 500,000 limit, that's like the threshold, and below that you can't make a second account. I think if you wait like a couple months, you can reuse the corporation and make another account. But for us to be making 5 accounts at once, the only time you can reuse the corporation is if your initial limits were higher than 500,000. So if you get 750,000, it's generally safe to make another account and with the same exact information, and you're going to get 500,000 limit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is what do we do when we have like after the account is made. So this part, once again, like we've you should already know this part if you're watching, if you're in this call, but you want to prepare for suspensions, because suspensions is normal, right? They just go ahead and they call you and ask you for your ID, and they ask you a couple questions, and those questions you can go ahead and like we go inside the course, and we have an unsuspension guide that's going to prepare you with all of the questions that you're going to typically face. So just prepare for that. Don't be scared if you're going to get suspended. It's just a verification they're going to ask you to send in your ID and maybe your articles of incorporation. So the second thing that you have to do when you make the accounts is we must warm up the accounts. And we warm up the accounts in case we get a suspension. So by warming up, what that means is we want to list books, right? 3D printed art, whatever, like find a niche, and you want to take pictures of the item, like legitimate pictures, or like take a screenshot of it, right? Make sure the pictures don't have any metadata that's going to be able to tell that you're like sourcing it from online or something. And I like to go with books because eBay has a catalog that you're able to kind of pick from. So that makes it easy, huh? So the third thing we're going to do after we warm up the accounts, after 3 to 7 days, you want to just go ahead and, list 100 items a day, 100 to 200 items a day for the next 2 to 3 months. And then, you should be able to be on the road to making 100K a year. So this is the guide on how to make 100K a year. I think it's like, let me know if you have any questions, yeah? And if everything is like clear enough for you to be able to go out and execute, because really the call is meant for to really give you a clear understanding, and you should be able to take this information now and go out and execute it and make those 5 accounts, yeah? So check, everything is completely clear on this end? Okay, perfect. Rory, Tyler, any questions before we end this call?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah,
everything's
real quick, I got a question that's unrelated.
Sure, go ahead. I'm gonna stop
Yeah, so
recording then, yeah?
yeah. So remember